Now, how are you? I hope you're having a good day wherever you're watching. And, before we get into the video in relation to Michael Gane and the murder of Michael Gane, let me just ask you where you're watching. I'd love to know exactly what part of the world you are watching us. So you can leave that in the comments. I will at some stage be doing a live broadcast as well, so I'll let you know when I'm doing that. But just to bring you up to date with Michael Gane, and it was the 20th of March that Michael Gane was last seen, and it is now the 27th of May, and Gardaí have confirmed that the remains that were found, the dismembered remains, are of Michael Gane, the missing farmer. So it has been confirmed that it is Michael Gane, which is very sad news. And even if it wasn't Michael Gane, it would have been somebody else, and would have been sad news for another family. But, thoughts and prayers and all that kind of love going to Janice and the family. It's been a tough old time for them, it really has been. And I'm sure they knew it was probably Michael before they were told. But look, it's very sad. So the Irish Mirror are running with a story today. One of their journalists went down to talk with the soldier that was living on the land of Michael Gane, a guy called Michael Kelly. Now, in my previous video, I talked about him. He says he's a private and that he was based in Germany and also had a little bit of work in the Gulf, in the Gulf War. And he witnessed some sort of incident and then had to flee. He left the army and fled and left his family, left his wife, came over here as an illegal immigrant, and had sort of gone around to a couple of farms asking could he stay, and eventually Mr. Gane said he could stay on his land. So he had known Michael Gane for 3 years and has been in Ireland, as he said, living underground for 7 years, illegally by the looks of things. So he did receive a deportation order, and that's for him to leave the country. Now, I don't know how early that deportation order was given to him. Was it given to him a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago? I don't know about that. But what we do know at the moment is that he's a suspect in the murder of Mr. Gane. And he was questioned by the journalist from the Irish Mirror. Paul is his name. He was questioned by him about did he have a good relationship? Would he describe his relationship with Mr. Gane as good? And he said, just okay, was his response. Now, everybody that has been asked about Mr. Gane, Michael Gane, has spoken very highly and positive about him and said what a nice guy he was. I haven't seen anyone say, oh, he wasn't that nice, or he was a bit mean. Like everyone has said really nice, eloquent things about him. And then the former soldier who was living on the land, Michael Kelly, was asked, and he just said, just okay. And he said it would be incautious for me to talk any more about it. So his solicitor has obviously told him not to say, or she has told him not to say anything about it. And look, that's fair enough. That's the way the law works. But it's just a bit of an evasive answer. And if I was homeless, or I was sort of going from place to place between jobs, trying to look for someone to stay, and a farmer down in Kenmare offered me a derelict cottage to live on the land, and I could do a bit of work and all that sort of stuff, I don't think I'd just say my relationship was just okay. I'd say my relationship with him was amazing. We get on really well, and I'm so surprised that this has happened to him, and I'm going to help the Gardaí in any way I can. I mean, that would be a pretty reasonable response, but just to say just okay just seems a bit strange. But look, it's not a guilt, you can't just say, but it's just a bit of an odd response. He's innocent until proven guilty. He's allowed to leave the jurisdiction and go back to America, go back to Maine if he wishes to do so. I think for him, though, it would probably look a bit suspicious if he did hop on a plane now and flee. But at the same time, he's entitled to do that. He can go anywhere. However, I would imagine the Gardaí have him under observation. I mean, it was easy enough for the Irish Mirror to find him in Tralee. He was playing the flute. And somebody in the comments says, I came all the way over from America and I did a bit of busking in the street, and there's nothing wrong with that, nothing strange about it. But I suppose if you're a suspect in a murder investigation and you've been a person of interest and you were 36 hours being questioned and you come out and go back down to busking on the street, I thought that was just a bit odd. But everyone's different, and it's not an indication of guilt or anything like that. So the situation at the moment is that what I envisage is going on at the moment, because we get little bits and pieces from the Gardaí every so often, and at the moment it's a big gathering of information. It's an information gathering exercise. They're trying to build the case, and if they have a man or a woman or a suspect or a person of interest, they're going to try and build that case against that person. And there's lots of people who come on here in the comments and sort of say, the Gardaí messed up the first time around, or they didn't do this, or they didn't. We don't know really what's going on behind the scenes. So I'm not going to get into that situation where I never do in these videos. I won't criticize the Gardaí. I mean, if it's a blatant mess of an investigation and you can clearly see things were made, I certainly will say it or whatever. But I'm not going down the road of just saying, well, look, those body parts could have been missed the first time around, or maybe they missed the body. Look, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to know. It's really hard to know unless you're on the investigation team. So I would imagine they're just gathering lots of information now, trying to put a case together. Because as we know, the district public prosecution, they won't touch it. They won't touch this case unless there's significant DNA evidence left at the scene, or a weapon that has it, and that has the DNA of the perpetrator and the DNA of Michael Gane. And that's really, there's supposed to be a chainsaw mentioned, and also body parts were pushed through slats. We've heard that as well. Now slats, if you've watched slats on a slurry pit, they're like little vents, and to push anything through that, it would take a bit of effort. You'd nearly have to spend the whole night doing it. But remember, Michael Gane was last seen at 9:48 a.m. on the 20th of March. And on the 21st of March, somebody called in and said, look, he's missing. Where is he? And Gardaí turned up at the farm, and I believe Michael Kelly allegedly was underneath a Jeep fixing brakes when they got there. But Michael Gane's his RAV4 was parked in an unusual way with his phone and his wallet. Now Michael Kelly, the former soldier, and apparently he said he's not a Marine, so he has said he's a private, and that's slightly different to what a Marine is. But we're going on what he says. So if we go on what he says, then he was just a private and a soldier. But they got to the farm that morning and there was no sign of Michael Gane. But Michael Kelly was on the land. He was there, but wasn't able to help Gardaí about where Michael Gane was. And then they found the phone and they found the wallet inside the Jeep. So all those vehicles would have been taken away for analysis, and I'm sure that they've been spraying luminol on different places down on that farm, and particularly in the Jeeps too, just to see can they find any kind of any traces of blood. And that's really where we are with it at the moment. So there's a few things going on at the moment, but they're gathering evidence and they're making a case now, I would say, against somebody. Who that person is, I don't know. All we know is that Michael Kelly is a suspect, but he's innocent until proven guilty. There'll be no charges laid against him. He's free to leave the jurisdiction if he wishes to do so. And at this moment, we're none the wiser as to what happened, Mr. Gane. But I'm still convinced from watching other cases like this in the past in the UK and all that, it's usually a dispute over something. It's a dispute or a disagreement, or something gets out of hand, and it's over not just at the spur of the moment. It's something over a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and like it will all. I would say it'll all come clear very soon. I've no doubt that the Gardaí will get to the end of this, and somebody or someone will be brought to justice over the death of Michael Gane. So I don't think, it's unfair to say the Gardaí have messed up or they haven't gathered all the evidence. And as I said before, I'm not here to defend them. I just think that it's just easy to say that we don't know really what's going on behind the scenes. They may have some good evidence there, and they're just not releasing it for operational reasons. But look, you know, for the memory of Michael Gane, everybody spoke very highly of him. They did. They all had really good things to say. So to reply to the journalist to say just okay, he was just okay, just seems a little bit strange. But look, you don't know what was going on, but hopefully at some stage we find out exactly what happened to Michael Gane. And who knows, you know, Michael Kelly, the former soldier, could be let go and said, look, he's not a person of interest or suspect anymore. And then the investigation goes in a completely different direction. You just never know what's going to happen in this case. But look, we have to think of, as I always say in these videos, the family, and respectful of them. And if you're down in Kenmare, you're down in Kerry, and you know the family, go and pay them a visit. If you see Janice, go and talk to her, because people during bereavements tend to walk to the other side of the street. They're afraid to come near you, but actually people prefer if you come and say hello and ask them how they are. Even if they cry, it's best just to say it, because that's all part of the bereavement process. So thanks for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe and like and share. And look, if there's any other updates in the meantime, I will be on here. And I'm going to be doing a live video as well very soon. I'll let you know about that. Anyway, in the meantime, have a great day. And let me know what part of the world you're watching in the comments. Talk to you soon. Bye.